She visited Jersey in the early 70s, and she was a youngster at the time. And one thing she particularly wanted to do was to come and see the Jersey Zoo. And Jerry said, well, of course, I'd be delighted to show her around.
At the headquarters of the Jersey Wildlife Preservation Trust, Princess Anne was met by the director, Gerald Durrell, and the president, the Earl of Jersey. In the zoo, various species threatened with extinction are encouraged to breed under controlled conditions. And an orangutan and her baby are good examples of what's being achieved.
She seemed to enjoy it and became really enthusiastic about his ideas about conservation around the world. And shortly after that, he asked her to become patron. This was in 1972.
The princess was clearly fascinated by the work of Gerald Durrell and his colleagues. And at least one little fellow, a month-old Celebes ape, seemed equally fascinated by the princess, and very reluctant to let her go.
She's been our patron ever since, and she's just been fantastic. Such a huge help stepping in where, a lot of people don't know that she's been working in the background for us.
The Princess Royal's been vocal in the past about the need for fundraising organisations to be run as efficiently as any other business. To that end, she recently held an innovative forum at the Palace for some of her charities to share ideas in these tough economic times.
I think it was really successful. It was a group of 70 organisations that the Princess is patron of. We'd not ever met before, and we found from a complete standing start there was so much in common between us. And the comment that stuck with me actually was, I sat next to the person I should have met 5 years ago. So it was a great innovation.
She was encouraging us to look at the technical sides of things, to look at technology, but also to be unafraid as charities of being different and showing real leadership at a time when the new coalition has challenged people in the big society. How can we work together across the sectors in a lean and light and meaningful way so that we once again might become a nation of deliverers rather than such an emphasis on deliberation?
You talk about Prince Albert having a whole variety of organisations that he was linked to. You are known to be the busiest member of the royal family. I just at random have picked a day from your schedule here, which included President of the Animal Health Trust, hosting a fellowship reception. Then you move on to being patron of the Opportunity International organisation, to being a patron of the National Institute of Adult Continuing Education. Then you host a dinner here. You're president of Red R UK, and so it goes, and so it goes. You will be dismissive, I'm sure, but you only have to talk to anybody involved in any of those organisations who appreciate enormously what having you as their patron or their president brings to that organisation. Do you not worry sometimes that you maybe spread yourself too thinly?
I think that's a perfectly justifiable concern, and I think I've pretty well stopped taking anything on. Only every time I say that, somebody, either the Queen Mother or perhaps my father might be saying, it's time I cut down, by the way, when you do this. So it's not as easy as you would like it to be. It's quite difficult to give things up.
I'm always amazed at how much she can fit into a week, and the amount of different places she goes in the country and people she meets, and she always remembers, everyone that she's met, and it's just unbelievable, her capacity to do all of it.
We were both very much brought up on that whatever we did in life, we were going to have to work bloody hard, whether it's Zara doing equestrian 3-day eventing or me in what I'm doing. At the end of the day, we were told we had to work bloody hard, so get on and do it. Don't complain and quibble about a bit of hard work. And I think it's
swearing.
Oh, sorry.
It's only once,
You usually say it to me. Anyway, carry on.
We have a very, very hard-working board. She is one of the hardest workers on that board. On the organising committee, we are the fully paid-up members of her fan club because she's very sociable with the board members and has very firm, very fixed views. And they're born from the views of a competitor, which is a really great prism for one of your board members to be permanently looking through.
2012 is imminent. You've been involved with the IOC for many, many moons. Did you ever think the Games would actually come back to Great Britain? We've bailed out the Olympic movement twice when other people let them down. But did you realistically think that the Games would ever come here?
I'd probably not, actually, although I thought, oddly enough, I thought Manchester was a good bid. And I thought, but it was probably a bit early in terms of the way that the IOC was beginning to make decisions about what were suitable cities to have games. But you sort of feel in the end that everybody they're very inclined to go, oh, well, they'll do good games, but actually, I think we'll try somewhere else for the time being. So you're probably right. I wasn't sure that they would ever really get around to coming back to Britain.
And on that day in Singapore, did you still think likelihood was second?
Probably, because I think actually they were very close bids. Difficult to separate.
The International Olympic Committee has the honor of announcing that the Games of the 30th Olympiad in 2012 are awarded to the city of London.
We've done it! London have won it! They've disproved the theory that you cannot win on the day, you can only lose on the day. They've won with the most inspirational presentation surely ever seen on such an occasion. Wonderful!
I've never been very good at second guessing how the IOC vote, so I keep an open mind, as they say.
Are you a good politician in
No,
that sense?
dreadful. Absolutely dreadful.
But you've got so much experience. Surely you're an ace schmoozer.
Please define.
Well, that you're able to sort of just...
What was that word?
Schmoozer, you just move and sort of say hello, and
you're
you're able
to... It got much to do with politics, that, but there you go. I certainly don't do that.
So no. I mean...
No, I don't think British members have ever been very good at that.
Which is why we didn't get it for many years.
Probably.
Well done, Sebastian Coe and his team. Ken Livingstone, they're the Mayor of London. They're all going mad here. The games are coming to London for the first time since 1948. Absolutely brilliant.
So now we've got London 2012. What does it bring to this country, do you think? Are you excited about it?
Yes, I mean, you only have to go around the site, I think, to see what it's been able to do. That's a hell of a legacy, just to begin with. Never mind the sports legacy that might come afterwards. But we would be foolish to think that an Olympic Games is going to change people's habits overnight. But I do think it raises many more sports in people's conscious thought as options for interest and enthusiasm.
Well, interesting you used the word might, the sports legacy that might be left behind, because that was one of the great selling points of us getting the bid. Do you feel that 5 years, 6 years hence, any more people are going to be doing PE, that sport will continue to occupy a higher place up the agenda, or that once the games have gone, it will go back to where it was before?
There's probably a natural level, isn't there, in every society, which, sort of beyond which is really tough to get. But it depends how you define legacy. But you want more people partaking of exercise than you do just sitting on the sidelines. That would be better for everybody.
Irrespective of how much you want to be there, how do you think she'd respond if you were selected for 2012? How proud do you think she'd be?
I think she'd be very proud. She always has been, and she'll never ever stop the support that she's given me and in my career, or both of our careers. And it'd be amazing to get there, on home turf, and everyone might be able to come and watch.
Is she going to be a good granny, do you think?
Yes.
Are you a great believer in the taking part that matters? Or is it
is
it the winning that matters?
No, I'm afraid I've always been guilty of taking part, school of thought.
Really? Because certainly talking to one or two people who rode against you in your brief appearance as a jockey on the flat, said you were very, very robust and very, very competitive, and winning was all.
You get seen off by the stewards if you don't try.
And getting a tremendous cheer, the Princess Wall, she's going to win it, racing up to the line. It's 10 No Trumps who's clear and who's going to win it in tremendous style. 10 No Trumps wins the Dresden Diamond Stakes. Shahira is second and third is Common Gypsy.
You can't go from 3-day eventing, retire from that, and then decide you want to go jump racing. There has to be something there flat racing, jump racing. There has to be a competitive edge there somewhere to want to keep you competing at the highest level in whichever discipline you decide to go in. So she's definitely competitive.
enjoy it and became really enthusiastic about his ideas about conservation around the world. And shortly after that, he asked her to become patron. This was in 1972.
The princess was clearly fascinated by the work of Gerald Durrell and his colleagues, and at least one little fellow, a month-old Celebes ape, seemed Innovation Trust. Princess Anne was met by the director, Gerald Durrell, and the president, the Earl of Jersey. In the zoo, various species threatened with extinction are encouraged to breed under controlled conditions, and an orangutan and her baby are good examples of what's being achieved.
She seemed to
Equally fascinated by the princess, and very reluctant to let her go.
She's been our patron ever since, and she's just been fantastic. Such a huge help stepping in where, a lot of people don't know that she's been working in the background for us. She visited Jersey in the early 70s, and she was a youngster at the time. And one thing she particularly wanted to do was to come and see the Jersey Zoo. And Jerry said, well, of course, I'd be delighted to show her around.
At the headquarters of the Jersey Wildlife Preserve.
The Princess Royal's been vocal in the past about the need for fundraising organisations to be run as efficiently as any other business. To that end, she recently held an innovative forum at the Palace for some of her charities to share ideas in these tough economic times.
I think it was really successful. It was a group of 70 organisations.